Hi, welcome to Laura's View and Tarot 2. I am so glad you're here. Today's date is Friday, April 26, 2024. 2 days ago, there was an incident in London with runaway horses from the King's Guard. And immediately, it seemed like it might be a symbolic or messaging type of situation. I did discover that the horse that had obvious red on it, I was hoping that was a false flag type of situation, but apparently that horse actually did. In the process of running amok through the streets of London, he ran into a minivan. And so that really is genuine blood we'll be seeing in my compilation. And I wish I could report that it wasn't, but apparently it was. However, none of the horses involved in the incident passed away, and there were no deaths. There were a few civilian injuries too. But immediately, because we are told that there's nothing is a coincidence, that there's meaning, and we know that the deep state does a lot of communicating via symbolism and coded type of things. I thought, let's take a look at this and see what the cards have to tell us about potential meaning for what we saw 2 days ago. And I'm going to take you to compilation. If it interests you to look at in more detail, you're welcome to click on the Facebook link that will be in the video description box for this video. Let's go to that compilation and take a quick look at it. Okay, so here's a picture of two of the horses. There were, I believe, a total of 5 involved with the incident. What's really surprising is these King's Guard horses train around very loud. They are cavalry horses. They are accustomed to and desensitized to very loud noises, such as ballistic type of things, cannons, street noises, traffic, horns. They're very sensitized to it. To have 5 of them apparently seem to have thrown their rider, all 5, and those riders are some of the best trained in the world. And to be running amok through the streets of London, I just am not totally buying any of the explanations that we're getting for the situation. Let's look at some of the information I have here for you. If you'd like to look at this from the platform formerly known as Twitter X, okay, this was says, a bloody white horse ran loose through the streets of London alongside a black horse, and also the same day, Big Ben clock stopped working at 9 a.m. before chiming 11 times, 9/11. If you add the date together, you get 666. So we've got a 666 symbolism with the date. We have a 9/11 symbolism with the 11 times chiming, okay, at 9 a.m. And then he goes on to say, are you ready for what's coming? So he thinks there was some very big symbolism going on with that. And again, as I told you here, the horse truly was injured, unfortunately. Here's another from the X platform. Okay. This post says, I've suggested on here before that the dark forces who run this matrix communicate with each other primarily through signs and symbols. I would agree with that. What do you make of this today? And he goes on to talk about the Big Ben chiming, the riderless and bloodied horses from the King's cavalry. Okay, and what could be the messaging this time was his question. Well, who knows, but let's hope it's something like we're losing control of the narrative, which I think is very, very true. One of the reasons I will come on here and often find a positive aspect to a situation that you might not have considered. Okay, here's a comment. It's not mine. I just thought it was relevant. Something is up with this story. Cavalry horses, you say? Horses and cavalry personnel trained for every wartime eventuality to get thrown by their horses because of a bit of rubble being moved? Seriously? These horses are trained to handle crowds and loud noises, otherwise they'd never be able to function in a military environment or at events like Trooping the Colors. Some speculation is, besides the possibility that any meaning behind the horses was they're losing control of the narrative, is to kind of prepare the general public for an announcement about the passing of possibly King Charles, maybe someone else. I say someone else because it's worth remembering that in February, we had the odd unannounced procession through London on February 23rd, which was later explained as actually customary, but it did seem unusual at the time. And they explained it by saying that there's a special ceremony that they do when there's a sunny day in London in February because it happens so seldom. Okay, whatever you say. 3 days afterwards, the death of Jacob Rothschild was announced. Now, again, here is a reference to what Team 17 says: nothing is random, everything has meaning, plus, 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 which I'm not sure there. I know that there's a code to what the 3 pluses are. I can't remember if it's Rothschild or what. Pardon me for that. I even looked and tried and couldn't find it. Now, so we got the death 3 days after this procession of Jacob Rothschild being announced. We all know it happened earlier. And now we're 2 days post that runaway procession in London. So we're going to ask the universe just for some insights and information about is the alt media speculation true that that incident in London with the horses was actually symbolic in messaging? And if so, more information about it. So let's find out. Again, my thoughts were not so much that they may be going to publicly announce a death of someone that may have been dealt with before. For example, King Charles has the sausage fingers. We know he's a 2.0. And alt media is reporting today, 2 days post-incident, that Mr. Schwab has passed away. And but it hasn't been announced publicly at this point. So let's see, are we heading into an announcement? What was the meaning? Was there meaning as is speculated? And if so, insights about what it might be. And just a thought, if you're making a bet that it might be about King Charles, I would say that there might be other notables, including Carl Schwab, that we would be looking at. So let's see what the universe wants us to know about any possible symbology to that incident. I have to move a cat, then I'll change the camera, and you can watch me work with the cards, and we'll find out together what the universe wants us to know. Yes, little Alieska got the table all warmed up for us. As you can see by the cat hair she left. I put a roller brush on it, but I just didn't get it all. I'm sorry. So we are asking about the incident 2 days ago with the runaway cavalry horses, King's Guard horses in London. Was that a symbolic or messaging event, and insights and information about it? If so, plus any pertinent information along this, the situation that the universe wants us to know. We have to keep our questions to a single topic, but when we have it include the insights and information, we can kind of bypass possible imperfections in our question. And so that's why I usually include that. Let's see what we have here. Okay, we have the 7 of Pentacles. We have another 7, 7 of Cups. We have the 8 of Pentacles. We have the 3 of Pentacles. Lots of Pentacles going on here. 5 of Cups. The Moon. Yeah. We got a yes right there with the Moon showing up, guys, even if we don't get an ace. Okay, I'm going to pause the camera and look at the cards and let them kind of nudge my intuition, but then we'll look at elements in the card that kind of bolsters those nudges that I share with you. Remember, tarot reading is using, again, pointing out some relevant points of the cards, but it's also an intuitive exercise. They work in conjunction. It's a marriage of intuitive nudges and cards kind of confirming those nudges. Okay, so our question was, is there truth to the speculation in the alt media community that the horses running amok in London 2 days ago was symbolic and had meaning? And the universe is telling us, yes, indeed, it was. And what it's symbolic of is, it looks like we are heading to an announcement of some sort of passing. It'll be someone that's very wealthy and prominent, obviously. I'm not saying that, thinking that it's going to be King Charles per se. Like I said, it could equally be Charles Schwab or any number of other players in the cabal top ranks. But let's look at why I said that. Okay, first of all, we had 2 sevens showing up here. When 2 sevens show up in a reading, that talks about signs. So that was, yes, this was symbolic. Right there, we had our answer that this was a symbolic event. In other words, to some extent, to a great extent, it was staged. Again, the chances of 5 riders being thrown and from cavalry Kingsguard horses with the type of training they have is just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous to consider. So we got the confirmation here that yes, it was a sign. What kind of sign? As we look to the near future here, we have the moon card, which talks about lies, but also often is the card that most indicates some sort of leaving the earthly plane. So, and then the 5 of cups is a card of sorrow and loss. So we've got those working together. So definitely it was symbolic of a passing. Okay. And it's not going to take us long to find out who it was. I don't know that it'll happen in the 3-day time frame that the procession in London in February had with the announcement about Jacob Rothschild, but it's something to watch for. But 5s are always temporary situations. They don't take long to resolve. Okay. And then just information for us, further information is whoever it dies is announced as passing is not going to be missed. Absolutely, by the great majority of people. It's not going to be sad news for us. So that's kind of reassuring there. Let's get a few more cards and see if there's further information to be found from the cards about that event. If we didn't have a hard yes that I was able to see before, we've got it here. Yes, that was symbolic. Okay, with the 10 showing up, there's an ending to something that it was symbolizing. I would hope that it was that they are admitting they're losing control of the narrative. That is the best, but it looks like with the moon showing up here, it looks like it was more to do with the fact that there's going to be a prominent death being announced in the near future. Here's another ace showing up and the 2 of swords. Okay, which is kind of like a short waiting period. So again, we've got a short waiting period before we find out about the symbolism. And again, are we going to be told that that was a symbolic and staged stampede? No, we're not. We're going to have to make the connections ourselves, but we're well able to do it. Absolutely. So a quick recap. We asked if there was truth in the alt media speculation that the Kingsguard horses that were stampeding through London, riderless 2 days ago, was a symbolic event. So in other words, to some extent staged. We acknowledge that even if there was staging to the event, there were 2 horses that were injured and 4 civilians. So my hopes that they all recover full health and fitness after that event. So we asked if was it symbolic? Was there other information the universe wanted us to know? Basically, with the 2 sevens showing up in the question about the question and clarifying about it, those 7s working it together told us yes. Those are, when you see 2 sevens, it often talks about signs of some sort. We also got 2 different yeses, hard yeses, with the aces that showed up in the reading. Now, near future card, This is a card that indicates some sadness, some loss. With the 5, that sadness and loss, we're not going to have long to wait to find out what that was about. And this card was our strongest insight card. And the moon is often a card that talks about the leaving the earthly plane of somebody. Now, a little reassurance for those of us that are awake and aware and connecting dots that aren't laid out for us by the mainstream narrative. We're not going to be mourning whoever's passing is finally publicly announced. And I say finally because we know there are a lot of passings that have happened and they're waiting for the right time to announce them, which is another reason that I have to be kind of careful how I phrase questions about matters like that. And I've had people, by the way, say, why do you read about people when it's obviously a double? Don't you know? And my thought is, if that double, whether it's CGI or someone in a mask or a body double or a clone or whatever, if they are still given the rights and responsibilities and access to shenanigan planning that the original would have, then yeah, I'm going to read about him, but I'll do it in such a way that we get information about whoever's playing the part. Okay, it doesn't mean that I think that's the original model, but whoever's playing the part. Now, I also think it's quite likely that when we get this next big announcement, it will be someone that actually has been dealt with actually some time ago. But the announcements roll out according to a plan that I am not privy to. And that's what we reap. So while we know in the alt media community that it's almost a certainty that Mr. Schwab passed away recently, that announcement's yet to come. We know that King Charles doesn't naturally have sausage fingers. So his passing is going to be announced at some time in the near future. Okay, we know that the Pope has been dealt with, and at some point his storyline will be concluded. But it's all working. I do believe there's a plan. I do. I don't think it's set in stone. It has to be flexible, but I think there's one. Absolutely. And even if there's not, there's something I know. God wins, and nothing can stop what is coming. That's it for this video. I thank you so much for your time and attention. If you'd like to, you're welcome to subscribe and be part of our community here. And I always appreciate everybody that takes this time to like the videos. So it's Friday here. We're coming up on the weekend. We may get some kind of announcement soon about a major passing. And we'll already know that one's on the way. Until next time, if you'd like to receive it, I send you love, light, and wisdom. Everything bright for you.